Greetings, Hempster. Thank you for tuning in to another Hemp episode of Hemp Aware Radio, where we focus on what's most hemportant. Today's show is all about how to create a successful hemp brand and CBD product line. So if you're wanting to increase your sales or brand recognition in the marketplace, or if you're just looking to increase your overall success with hemp, or if you're wanting to get unstuck with your marketing, then you'll appreciate today's show. But before we get started chatting with Jeff Gallagher of MadeByHemp.com, I want to make sure that you're aware of our marketing and branding services at HempAware.com. We help hemp entrepreneurs, hemp companies, cannabis companies as well, with their SEO strategy, content creation, brand, look and feel, and all that fun stuff, so we can help you get more leads and sales and traffic to your website. So if you're interested in any of our services, check out HempAware.com to schedule in your free introductory call, and we'll see what we can do to empower your business. But anyway, I appreciate your awareness and tuning into this empowering conversation I'm about to have. I'm really excited for this because I feel like many hemp entrepreneurs are still struggling to find their niche and get into a success rhythm with their hemp products. And you see, when I was in my teenage years, I had an experience that caused me to think very deeply about life, and I began to ask the big questions, like, who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? And the big one for me was, how can I create peace on earth? Because I quickly realized that if we're going to make a difference on the planet, we also have to learn how to make a dollar, since making change in the world almost always requires the change that's in your pocket or in your bank account. So I immediately dove into the great sales trainings by Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy, Napoleon Hill, and all the greats. And I started to really absorb what it means to sell. And I actually discovered that the German, the word sell comes from the German word sellen, which means to give. So the more you're developing your skills to give and offer value to others, you're really getting into the world of sales. And so I'm really all about creating, quality of life for people. And I feel like hemp was that vehicle to create peace on earth. And so that's why I'm dedicated and committed to helping other hemp entrepreneurs like yourself to succeed with hemp. And that leads me right into today's topic, which is speaking with Jeff Gallagher of MadeByHemp.com. And he's doing some really amazing things, him and his team, not only to provide high quality hemp products, but he's going the extra mile to really serve the community and make a difference with hemp. And since 2013, Made by Hemp has been an industry leader in producing products and working with retailers to help offer quality CBD products to their customers worldwide. So let's get right into the juicy part. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Jeff. I appreciate your presence.
Well, thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be on.
Right on. So maybe just for our listeners that aren't aware of who you are, your brand, I know you have a couple different brands that you've developed over the years, but maybe give us a little background of your area of expertise and then what led you up to wanting to get into the hemp industry in general.
Sure. So I've been in the IT field since I was walking, pretty much. First commercial client, literally, I was 11 years old. Stuck with computers pretty much my whole life. A lot of turmoil. 2008, 2009 changed the direction of my life and a lot of others. I moved 2.5 hours away from where I grew up to work for somebody else. Long story short, hemp found me. A neighbor witnessed me have a panic attack, and he convinced me to try these things he was making in his kitchen from waste products of marijuana, of all things. And once he convinced me to try these, I realized that it was helping me medically with my anxiety. So for me, it was like, what? It's not THC, but what is it? Because I was eating these things and not getting any euphoria from it. So I did what any normal person would do. I took them to a marijuana lab, had them tested, and they told me that it had this compound called CBD. And this was at the end of 2012 here in Michigan. And CBD was pretty much not talked about except for in the cannabis circles in California, as I did some Googling. So I found a product line though that said industrial hemp legal in all 50 states in it's Denver, Colorado. So I went to the website and bought a bottle, right? Because it said it was legal. I didn't know what I didn't know about any of this at that time. I was just scratching the surface. My neighbor was making stuff out of waste products. I wasn't having panic attacks, and I found a product that said it was legal. So bought this product. It tasted horrendous, but it had the same benefit as what my neighbor was giving me, and it was supposedly made in a clean environment. So I could get behind that. And my original intent was to help 5 people a month, like it helped me. I bought a bunch of products from this vendor and put it on all of the web places because CBD was an unknown thing at that time. Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and a website I built, not MadeByHemp.com. And my intent was to help 5 people. Well, August of 2013, Sanjay Gupta got on TV and said how awesome CBD was. And I was one of the first people online with this stuff. And it took off. It took over my life, and I went from helping 5 people a month, which was my original intent, to thousands a week. And then my suppliers couldn't keep up with supply, so then what do? You figure out how to make your own. So over the last, we'll be 10 this May. So the last 10 years, we became a GMP certified, FDA registered, pending organic. Our audit was done a week ago, and we got like 3 more check boxes to just check off the box, and that should be done on a bunch of our products. So we're an organic certified facility, or we'll be here very, very soon. Just got to meet the compliance check boxes, and there's always something you miss in an audit. So you learn along the way.
Totally.
Nothing major, but just mostly paperwork. And tidying up some of the things that you don't think about until they make you think about them. So pre-COVID, the industry was a totally different thing. It just got its legs underneath of it, I would have to say, in 2019. And 2020, everybody knows what happened then. We pretty much hit the pause button in life for about 18 to 20 months. And then on the other side of it, all these new things have happened in our industry. It just made a left-hand turn, and now we're just coming out of I don't know what it is right now. I'm trying to understand what happened to the health and wellness hemp industry that turned into, for lack of a better term, and pardon me if I'm wrong, marijuana light. We can use this to get to for other purposes when there's a legal, marijuana market in almost 40 states now, I think. But hemp was legal in all 50, and it still is. But, as someone who took almost 10 years to convince his parents that what I was selling wasn't marijuana, and again, I'm pro-cannabis, so I'm all in. But I had, trying to get your parents to take this stuff, it's like, what happens, right? And now there's these products on the market that gray that line so bad that, I thought we were over the education between the two, and now it's blurry again. So I guess that's what happened in the industry. It got really, really blurry.
And that actually kind of leads right into my next question. I mean, other than COVID, you've been in this for almost a decade, and you've obviously run into some challenges over the years. What would you say, I mean, other than the stigma and, the creep of the medical rec side of things into the hemp world, what other challenges might you have experienced as a hemp entrepreneur, and how are you able to overcome some of those challenges?
Well, all the things that normal businesses take, for granted, like payment processing, banking, insurance, if you're a contractor or you do something, you pick up the phone and you can find all these things. Well, in the hemp industry, the word cannabis is tied to it. So then, first and foremost, I think you're in that market no matter what. So it's an education process, and then once you educate them, can they help you without extorting you? Because that's the other part. They charge you like 10 times the normal rates for insurance, and we don't extract anything on site. You know, we don't grow any flower here in our facility in Michigan, but in Colorado and Kentucky, where they have different rules and the insurance is more broadly available, you know, they can grow it by the acre. So, you know, it's one of those things. And if we were to grow here, our insurance would double again. You know, I mean, literally, we were told that. They're like, well, if you want to grow on your property, it's going to be more expensive. So it's almost to the point where it puts you out of the opportunity. I mean, because math is math, right? You have to have input and output costs, and if your input costs are twice as much as your output's going to be, it doesn't make no sense. So some of those things are challenged, and then the lack of regulation at the federal level. You know, the 2018 Farm Bill, for all the awesome it was, it created a lot of scratching heads at the state level, and then, you know, a lot of, you know, unknowns because there is no regulation at the federal level, right? If there was a little more clarity, and I'm all good for common sense regulation. You know, there's a lot of illicit markets because of uncommon sense regulation right now, but that's we could talk about that for a different day. You know, we need to understand what we can do, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what can be used as food, what can be used as animal feed, what can be used as all these things that we don't know. We'd love to know. And all of us in the industry, in my belief, want to follow all of the rules for the safety of humans, animals alike, right, and the earth. We want to protect all of it. That's our goal, the ones that are in it for the right reasons, right? So we want to protect all those things. How do we do it? And have a framework so we all know that we're doing it to the best, and we don't have to worry about, potentially, breaking a rule. Because there is no rules. That's the problem, right? It's like, well, this is a rule, but it's not really a rule. You know,
there's maybe a rule, but no regulations, like you were saying.
Right. I mean, well, they say, Delta, if it's under 0.3% THC, it's legal. Great. Now there's gummies that have a bunch of THC in it, but they're technically under 0.3%, so it's illegal? Question mark. You know, just a question mark, right? We don't know. Animal feed.
So how have
you
been able to navigate these things? Like, what would you like? Is there a specific formula or methodology that you use as a company to navigate? Obviously, there's the payment processing, the banking, finance, insurance, and then these regulatory issues. Like, what's maybe a pointer or a way that you've been able to navigate through this? Because obviously you're still operational and in business, so you've been successful thus far. What would you attribute to that?
Clear communication with everybody involved, all parties. And I've been told I over-communicate and overshare, and I say no, because they can't come back to bite me if I open the book, right? So, if you're trying to do everything by the book, like my bank, they freaked out. Why are you spending so much money at a marijuana testing lab? My answer was an answer they never thought I would say. It was to prove it wasn't marijuana.
Right.
They're like, that's the best answer I've ever heard in my life. Because it's a bank that's federally regulated, and I've been banking with them since 2013, and I've been transparent with them since the first hour I went to their facility, went to their board and did all these things to be compliant and be transparent, because there was no rules, and I've been with them the whole time. I think they take hemp now, other hemp people now, but they're very scrutinous because I'm like the standard bearer for them, right? So I've been doing everything right for a long time and been very open book about everything I do, right? In Michigan, we have a rec and a med market, but we also have an illicit market too that is prevalent. So I mean, and because of the way the rules and the laws are written, there's some very gray areas in Michigan, for example, where I can give you THC. If you're over 21, I can give it to you, right? Which is great if you're adults being adults. But what if I sell you let's say, I don't know, you've been in my club and I sell you a sticker, and then you walk over to my friend over here and they trade you your sticker for something that has no regulatory compliancy behind it at all. And that's one of the markets that's opened up, and people with these CBD only stores, some of them actually, that's how they keep their doors open.
Yeah. Right.
It's the gray area, right? And so we're in the health and wellness space. We focus on holistic practitioner. If you want to help people live a healthier life, whether that's through physical, that's through the spa, through massage, right? However you are wanting to help somebody live a better life, we have a product that fits that checkbox, right? If you're into it for recreational purposes, as we recommend everybody that walks in our store looking for that, Google, and there's probably 10 of them within 4 miles. Lots of opportunity on the other side, right?
Well, let's look at your product line. Like, tell us a little bit, like, of maybe your top 3 most popular products and what your customers are using it for.
Great question. So our number one product that has been our number one since pretty much our inception has been our concentrates. We pretty much had the same formula since 2015. Every year it's a different harvest, of course, but it's the same genetics and the same processors, so we're very blessed. Everything is 0.3% or less THC, and it's literally CO2 extracted. So the solvent is CO2, and nothing's been added or removed from the product to make it compliant. So it's the closest thing to a hemp plant besides the plant itself. And that ranges from 9% up to 20% cannabinoids.
Nice. So it's a full spectrum entourage effect. You're getting all the terpenes and a lot of other compounds that are synergistic with the cannabinoids, right?
All the natural terpenes that were found in the plant originally are still there in our extracts. And the only thing we removed, we have 3 different versions. We have a raw, which is got the acidic version, pretty much just as it comes out of the machine, and then we decarboxylate the products. And for the listeners that aren't familiar with that, it's a fancy way of saying heating under pressure for a certain amount of time, which will convert the acidic version of the cannabinoids to the non-acidic, or CBDA to CBD. And then we also have a filtered version where we'll filter out the chlorophyll and some of the plant waxes and concentrate it as concentrated as we can while still leaving it compliant. So that can range into 24%. So and full cannabinoids, CBC, CBL, CBN, they're all there. Trace amounts of THC, and it's as close to the plant as you can get without having the actual plant. And then we have it all the way from skin care to pet care to everything in between. So it just depends on you, the end user, or who is your consumer, right? We do a lot of wholesale, a lot of white label. So our wholesale, we sell to, like, our pet products. In Michigan, vets can recommend CBD. They can't sell it. But in other states, they can sell it. In Michigan, we have, the specialty cannabinoid market isn't profitable in the regulated side, right? So CBN, CBG, both very popular in the cannabis marketplaces here in Michigan, so we help cater to that. And then, as my wife calls CBN, CB Night Night, because when she can't sleep, she'll take a serving of that. But it's not you can't do it forever, right? It's once or twice on occasion, but it works. It's not overused. As somebody that has had my wife also say, "Hey, quit working after the 5th bag." I'm like, well, it's a supplement. It's not a fix, right? None of our products fix anything. They just help our bodies do what our bodies are supposed to do naturally, right? Our bodies are just a system of processes that process chemicals and other things into things we use to live and breathe, and right? And if it's not there, it can't use it. So if we have a deficiency and we fill the deficiency, our body does stuff with it. And we still haven't figured out exactly all the stuff it does with it, but the good outweighs the bad from everything, I've learned over the last 10 years. As long as the products are made good and properly, and their solvent has been properly removed if there was solvent used, just like the other industries.
A curious question on CO2 extraction versus ethanol or butane or these, other extraction methods that might be a lot more caustic or, do a good job of extracting, but what would you say the pros and cons are of using a CO2 extraction versus another method?
So great question. So I am absolutely a proponent of moonshine or ethanol extraction as well, as long as it's properly done. When you get into the tanes, butane, heptane, hexane, and all the, I call them the tanes because there's a bunch of them. I prefer to stay away from those products, and a couple reasons. One, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't. You're not going to get it out, right? Number one, but number two, you're not going to get all of it out, no matter what. So, butane extraction and the THC side, people have been doing that a long time, and good for them. That's not my jam, right? And the products they make, for the reasons they make them, aren't for anything that we would use them for, right? The end material that would come out of those types of extractions, we won't use. So, we're not into that kind. We're just the raw material inputs don't work for us. So we look for ethanol extracted or CO2 extracted. Now, to make isolates, and other, or to fractionate off THC if it's too hot, right? There's other processes that are beyond my pay grade, but the people that we use are very smart, been doing these things a long time for other industries before they got into the hemp space. So, these guys, we use farmers that farm, 72-acre turns, 1,000 of them. And I just, these guys got, these are farmers, right? That we use and we've been using. We started with them when they've hand planted an acre. Extraction facilities didn't exist back in 2015 when we started scratching our heads about this stuff. So we started, we had to build it. It didn't exist. So and I've just kept the people that I've worked with for a long time because it works, right? I'm not saying there isn't better, faster, ways of doing certain things, or there's not a different way of doing things, right? Because there's no 100% right way of doing some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, the products that the byproduct that's left in the extraction, are we testing for it? And if we are we testing for it at the level that it could potentially be in there? Trace amounts, parts per trillion, right? We don't know, because our testing equipment can't test certain things below a certain, what they call, detectable limit. So, if there's 1 part per trillion of, of this very toxic chemical in here, you're never going to know. And that's on the naturally extracted stuff. So our plant-derived cannabinoids. But now, and then you have the lab-derived cannabinoids. Those are a different conversation. And then you have synthesized cannabinoids, which are even different story. So, and all three of those are on the market today in products that are on shelves. And people don't know that they are not the same. They're not created the same. And there could potentially be things in some of them that, like Delta-8 is naturally occurring compound in nature. It occurs. It's in our extracts in trace amounts, right? But to make 80% Delta-8, is it plant identical? Is that Delta-8 compound identical to what the plant created? And from every scientist I've talked to, and for everybody that's doing research into this, the answer is no. And there's been yet anybody to create Delta-8 that is naturally, or what do they call it, naturally identical to what's created in nature. So it's similar.
Right.
It will test on the testing, machinery as similar to that compound, or really, really close. They're not, genetic or not genetically, but I guess genetics as the atomic level identical. Molecular, identical. Yeah. So, a compound, just because it says it's something doesn't mean it is. And then if let's say the extract that I'm getting from you is 80% this compound, what's the other 20%? And do we take a test for what that 20% is in the finished good after we dilute it, or before we dilute it? Either way. And then do we tell the consumer it's in the product? So all these things are why we need common sense regulation. Because there's people selling substances that we shouldn't be ingesting, I mean, there was an e-liquid line that had PEG 400 or PEG 600 in it selling CBD, and that was the same thing they used for airplane deicer and antifreeze. And they were literally selling these vapes at a trade show, and it was like, you guys are selling poison. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, I don't know. They're like, you can really feel it. I'm like, are you sure you're feeling the CBD? I don't think so, but I'm not a microbiologist or a chemist, and I can tell you what you're doing, but I wouldn't ingest that if I was you. But it's okay. That's between you and you.
It's so important. Yeah, to be doing what you're doing and to have the education out there for people to be aware and educated consumers. Hence the name of our company, Hemp Aware. It's really about raising the awareness, being more conscious, more present, more aware to the value, to the quality of what you're putting in your body. And I totally agree. There's definitely a distinction or a difference between ingesting an isolated compound versus ingesting that same compound that's synergistically blended or grown in nature, to be consumed with these other compounds that like they call it the entourage effect or whatever, but I think it's just called nature. You can certainly play with nature and concentrate things. And I think we have come to a point in the world where we kind of have to do that because we are so exposed to so many toxins and so many pollutants and things that are destroying our topsoil, and we're not getting the type of nutrients that we once did 50 or 100 or 200 years ago, and so we are very deficient in a lot of nutrients. So it makes sense to increase or concentrate some nutrients, but to do it in a way that includes these other compounds, I think is very unique or important, and I love that you guys are doing that. But I kind of want to shift gears to talk more on like the marketing, the branding. MadeByHemp has a really clean look. You guys know what you're doing in terms of branding and design. Do you have any pointers or principles or anything that you guys live by as a company that you can share with other hemp entrepreneurs that might help them with their marketing or brand strategy?
Absolutely. So, make sure your content provides value, right? And it gives the consumer a good, good buying decision information, right? There's so much misinformation. Not only tell your consumer about what it is, but point to places where they can find out more information about your products, right? Give your brand validity. And then proof, social proof, right? As many people as can give you a Google review, ask for that, right? Because just because one person loves it, if they tell the world that they love it, other people will see that it's got value. So, everything in the hemp industry, as of this point, you can't market CBD traditionally, right? I can't go on Instagram and Facebook and just throw some money at some ads. Even though, I don't know, some people are, but they're short-lived. So that makes it really a challenge to do the traditional marketing perspective. So it's all about organic, good content, providing consistent content, right? Talk about your products and your brand. Why is it different than the stuff you can buy at the gas station or at the head shop? What makes you unique? Why would I buy your product versus the one I can go get over at MadeByHemp.com, right? And competition is good because we need competition in this marketplace to, weed out the bad actors. But as a consumer, I want to make sure that you have confidence in what you buy, right? We also have a money-back guarantee. So for any reason you're not happy with the product you buy from us, we'll replace it. And then to any of our vendors, if you have a customer that's unhappy with the product they bought, give them their money back. We'll replace the product free of charge, right? You can't be over-promising that the product will do something that it won't do, right? And then tell me, well, it never works for my customers and they don't want their money back. But, as long as you sell the product with the intent of what it is or what it's used for, and it may or may not help you depending on your situation. People come in and say, well, this fix, cure, prevent, or treat might fill in the blank. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you it will or it won't. All I know is I take the product for this, and this is what it's done. My other team members take it for this. This is what it does for them. If you're not happy with what it's doing for you, come see me. I will take care of you, because the last thing I want is a customer unhappy.
Totally.
And then third party testing. It's gotta happen. So understanding a COA. We try to teach people how to read COAs, but you wouldn't believe how many people still call and ask, I don't understand this. What does it mean? Your bottle says 500. Is that per serving? Is that per drop? Is that in the whole? What is it? Is it the whole bottle? Right? And people don't realize that label claim is what's in the whole entire unit. Right? If it says it weighs a pound, it's got to weigh a pound. If it says it's 1 fluid ounce, there needs to be a fluid ounce.
Right.
If it says there's 500 milligram, there's 500 milligram. And then of what? Is it cannabinoids? Is it CBD? Is it hemp extract? Take a word that they're different.
Yeah.
And then it's education on that piece of it. And then setting expectations for the consumer as well. If this isn't, I took it, my headache or whatever, didn't happen. Well, it's a supplement. It's like anything in nature. You don't take you take lavender to calm your lavender tea, but it doesn't change anything, right?
I mean, those terpenes, they have a specific effect. I mean, you can look up certain ingredients or compounds and see what the history has been on that type of compound, or what effects it might have on the nervous system or the immune system. It doesn't mean that every single person is going to have those same experiential benefits or effects, so to speak, but it is important to at least understand what they might be able to expect. And just to kind of reiterate what you said, as far as what other hemp companies can do to really improve their marketing and branding, you said focusing on high quality content that really provides value and being consistent with that. You said social proof, documenting people's experiences, or if they do have a positive experience, make sure to document that and show it to others, because social proof is very effective when it comes to sales. And then, like you said, don't be afraid to refer to other resources or maybe other professionals in your industry, because that association with another professional or another maybe organization in your niche, even though it might be competition is healthy. So it's important to maybe link to other resources and realize there's more than enough fish in the sea for everyone to benefit and to do business with. And then you said really identify why your product is different, how it's unique from other products on the market that are similar, and what really differentiate you from them. Coming up with a guarantee, I thought was a really great thing that you said. If it's a money back guarantee, or we'll replace the product, or obviously you can't make any claims or tell people that it's going to cure, treat, or heal them in any way. But if for some reason they're not happy, it's most oftentimes just better to give them their money back, or just make sure they're happy, so that you don't have a bad mouther out there saying things. So it can be advantageous to just give them their money back if your business model can handle that. And then I think you said to not overpromise, don't guarantee things that you can't really back up, or make claims that aren't true, or really be clear about your messaging and what you can promise. And by doing that, I think you said using data analytics, testing, and things to document what it is that they're getting can help with that. Did I summarize that pretty well, or did you have any final comments on marketing tips or branding tips? Not
much. No, I think you hit it all. I mean, you mentioned if your brand can afford the refunds. If you're in a consumer brand, and if we have a customer wants their money back, every time I've done this, it's gotten me more customers. Because I'll say, oh, no problem, give your money back. I understand you've only taken it once, though, and you take it for me twice a day for the next 2 weeks. I gave you your money back, so that's no problem. Your refund's on its way. But if you could take it twice a day for the next 2 weeks, and then give me a call,
Mm-hmm.
And let me know your experience. I've
Yeah.
had one yet to not want to give me more money. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this, because it's setting expectation of the product as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people think this is like, you know, I go to the store and I grab a gummy and I eat a gummy and I'm just in miracles and all the things are going to happen. Well, none of that's going to happen. But your expectations have to be set right. You know, you hear about, you know, people are misled, and that's one of the reasons the FDA exists. You know, they don't want people making, you know, selling snake oil, and I agree. I don't want people selling snake oil to me or my family or any of my friends or any humans, for that matter. You know, we want to all live the best, healthiest life we can. You know, it's like vitamin B12. I've learned so much about B12 in the last 6 months that I didn't know because I found out I'm allergic to certain kinds of B12. There's more than one. And, oh, you didn't know what you don't know. And then come to find out that the B12 I'm allergic to, 1 in 5 people are roughly allergic to, and it's in everything. So, including hemp brands now. So even gummies that have B12 in them might have the wrong kind. Because everybody's adding, you know, supplemental stuff to their gummies as well, which is great. As long as it's good for everybody. You know?
Yeah.
And the uninformed consumer also doesn't know what that is either, right? So now you're throwing more data into the mix, and confusion is the best way to lose a customer.
Exactly.
So, you know, transparency, answer all their questions with clarity, short and concise. You know, best advice I can give you, know your target audience. Everybody is not your target audience. You know, there's 320 million people in the U.S. I don't need 320 million customers. I just want, you know, a very specific subset of them that follow my values and beliefs and also have the same values and beliefs for their customers. And we all win. It's like a win-win-win.
Exactly.
When you find that synergistic approach.
Absolutely. I would say that to kind of back that up, when it comes to marketing and branding, it, like you said, is really knowing your target audience, knowing their demographics, their geographics, their behavioristic character, you know, traits, where they shop, what clothes they wear, like as much you can find out about the type of people that you sell to, you can really understand their language and how they think and what problems they're dealing with. And that way you can take your product as the solution to their problems. And I think that's the real key or objective of any marketing is having what's called dog whistle copy, where you're not trying to sell your product to everyone, because they say if you try to sell to everyone, you end up selling to no one. So really utilizing your sales copy, the words that you use to single out specific groups of people to get their attention. And then once you get their attention, you can, you know, really position your brand or your products as the solution. And that really is the key. I totally agree with that. And appreciate your wisdom. It's been super fun chatting. Just to kind of wrap up today's show, and take a little right turn, what would you say are some of the areas of hemp that you think are not being talked about enough? You know, maybe it's related to CBD, or maybe it's hemp fiber or hemp foods or hemp plastics. Is there another area that you feel like really needs more research and funding going into it?
Well, you mentioned most of them. Hemp is carbon negative. They've been talking about green technology. Well, let's talk green. Let's start fixing some soil. Let's go to Flint, Michigan and fix some soil. You know, let's go to, you know, some other areas. Camp Lejeune, let's fix some soil there, right? Those are areas where hemp needs some focus. Fiberglass, plastic, building materials. We don't have to deforest. I'm all in. Let's figure it out. We have the technology in the farmland, right? Let's quit growing corn, start growing some hemp. Let's throw some money at it, right? And figure out other uses for this plant that can be commercialized and help the world.
Absolutely.
That's that simple. You know, we have recreation as one use. Fantastic. We have CBD or my other cannabinoids, other use. Fantastic. Now let's talk about the other 47,000 potential commercial opportunities for the plant that can help humanity and the earth.
I agree.
We all want it. We're all here, and we all want to have an abundant life, and I think we all can. But we also have to leave the world better than we found it, and do the best that we can with the world while we have it. So if we can make a change in the world, even if it's one incremental change at a time, there's biofuel from hemp, I'm in. I heard you can make more biofuel from hemp than you can from corn. Let's explore it. Distilling ethanol is the same whether it's from hemp or from corn, I think. I don't know. I don't do that, but I'm sure that there's similarities, right? So just all these opportunities, why 0.3% THC? Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, there's some folks out there that say the higher THC levels are actually going to produce more voluptuous seed, more higher oil content. So we might be, stabbing ourselves in the foot trying to lower the THC levels.
It made a better fiber. The rope content went to shit when they lowered the THC level in the hemp. That was the fiber part. That had nothing to do with the seed or the flowering cups. That was the fiber, So I think it all goes hand in hand. Nature created some pretty amazing things, right? No matter what your beliefs are, it's amazing, right? So we know it's amazing. Let's figure out how to use it for all its amazingness.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate your wisdom and what you've shared on the show so far. Where can our listeners learn more about you, your brands, your products, and get a hold of you to do business with you, whether it's white labeling or as consumers wanting to find some high-quality CBD products? What can they do to find you?
Well, the consumers can go to MadeByHemp.com. Today is Cyber Monday, so go on over there. We've got some great deals going on. If you're in the wholesale, you can give us a call at 1-844-3-US-HEMP. Again, that's 844-3-US-HEMP. And one of our reps will be more than happy to take care of
you. Right on. Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another Hemp episode of Hemp Aware Radio. This is your Hemp-entrepreneurial host, Tyler Hemp, here to empower and hemp-educate your hemposphere as usual. Thanks again, Jeff, for being on today's show. And everyone go check out MadeByHemp.com. They've got some amazing resources and education on the topic, but also some really great products. So thanks again, Jeff. Really appreciate what you're doing and for being on the show.
Thank you. You too. Have an amazing day.
See you, everyone.